Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Yuki Zaninovich. He's the winner of YGOverdose's first Dueling Network tournament. Yuki, why don't you say hello to everybody?
Hi, YouTube.
Okay. So there's a couple things I want to go over. The first thing, and I think the most pressing thing, the thing that everyone wants to know, is how quickly after the tournament finished did you get paid?
I actually didn't check. I could check now. You want me to check right now?
I can save you the suspense. You got paid right away.
Yeah, you did send me a post saying you're signing out, so yeah, probably within 2 minutes.
Awesome. All right. Now,
Konami gives me prizes at a regional.
the what?
Faster than Konami gives me prizes at a regional.
That's right. Okay, so let's start off by talking about your general tournament experience. I'm talking about the actual matches and the format of playing one match a day on this on online, etc., etc.
Well, the actual the non-Yu-Gi-Oh part of it was kind of challenging compared to the other people, just because I was overseas for half of it. And I had to coordinate 17 hours time difference, which is kind of hard because, I mean, I'm not going to just sit in a hotel all day, so I have to, like, either go wake up really early in the morning or have to stay up until, like, 12 at midnight so people get on, so that was kind of hectic, but I kind of pulled it off, and that was good. The players themselves, they're pretty good. I mean, I didn't see anybody who was notably like bad that misplayed every single game. They were all at least decent, if not amazing at the game. Especially my first round opponent, Suresh. I think I played one of the best games with him. That was great. I mean, I got Rule Shark like once, but I mean, it was sort of my fault too, so I don't really care. But and I had an overall bad experience with one player, but everybody else was really good. I mean, we had contact all the time, and it was like good luck, blah blah. So that was good. So the format itself, the area I live in doesn't have that many great people, and if there are, I have to like go out of my way a lot, and I'm not gonna just travel like an hour every weekend just to play Yu-Gi-Oh. So I go to locals that isn't that competitive. It's like easy like wins, easy credit, yada yada yada, like place to hang out with friends. So this was a great experience to play competitive play, and in my area at least. So I didn't have that great of an idea of what to play. Should I go into my deck choices or?
Um, you know what? Let's go into the deck right now, and then after the deck, let's go talk about some individual games and anything that you felt was notable. But yeah, let's look at this. You were the only player in top four running waters. Of all the people in the tournament, there were only 3 people playing waters. So and to point out, there were 13 people playing windups. So if you're gonna pick a pony going into this, it at least the deck wise, you'd think that windups would win, but you pulled it out with this. Why don't you talk about it?
Okay, so windups versus this deck was definitely a factor into this. I originally picked this deck just to play around on DN just because I really loved spiritual water art. But it's really cute, right? Like you can open Undyne, search Diva or whatever, and then set water art, and then you're pretty much like it's like the game is won. But as you play like better people and like just not random people on DN, you start to realize how horrible water art is if you don't open Abyss Pike or Undyne, because you have to take away one of your combo pieces like a Dragoons or an Infantry in order to look at your opponent's hand. And like sometimes it's worth it. It's definitely worth it sometimes, but it doesn't help with the synergy of the deck, and that's really what made me decide not to play water art. But I ended up playing the deck anyways, just because I feel how more stable the deck is all around compared to windups. Because both of those decks can really open Cruddy, right? I mean, you can open Double Magician, No Shark, or like Magician Factory with nothing else. I mean, this deck can open Double Controller with a Megalo and no Waters or something. But when it comes to the grind game, it's kind of like Rabbit in the way that you can really stall it out pretty easily compared to windups. I mean, if you have a bad hand, all you need is you're one Abyss Sphere away from getting a Undyne, and the Undyne can get you a Devo or a Megalo or anything that can raise the consistency in your hand. So I feel like this deck has a lot more better tolerance to bad openings. And if you do open broken, it's very explosive.
Let me
Yeah.
let me just pause you for a second. I told you this. I think it might have been after round 5. My teammate Anthony Alvarado was very interested in my whole team, in fact, but specifically him. He was very interested in how this tournament was progressing. He checked in after every round. He wanted to see what was winning and stuff like that. And he said, "Okay, of the decks that are left, da 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 da, what are they?" And I said, "Well, here's one of them." And he took one look at your water deck, and he didn't know you, he didn't know your record or anything like that yet. And he said, "I like this water deck. I think it's going to win this tournament." And I was like, "I don't know, man. That's kind of a thing to say." And he's like, "Nah, I really like the ratios." And I want you to. I mean, I wanted to like credit him for calling, like believing in you. I guess before anyone knew you were going to top 4 or anything like that. But I also want to credit you for these ratios. I'm looking at this. I'm seeing one diva. I know a lot of people also they go down to 2 marksman or 2 Megalo, 2 Abyssphere. Some people don't run Regeki break. Some people prefer Phoenix Windblast. Some people run warning and some don't, etc., etc. And some don't run Typhoon or Allure or things like that. Like I would talk about these, not in
Right.
standard choices.
Right. Okay. I'll just go down in alphabetical order.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess free controllers is one of the biggest changes from the YCS top these days. I actually researched it myself, but out of all the YC, I don't actually want you to hold me to this because I think I'm positive, but out of all the YCSs that's happened, that water was part of the contention. I don't think any of them played three controller. I actually found out that Billy Brake plays three controllers, and I thought that was interesting. But my main reason for three controllers is because Undyne. I mean, I don't care how good people think Diva is in this deck, but Undyne is definitely the best card in the deck. And if you open one controller and one Undyne, just making your Abyss Spike that much worse is just really hurts the deck. I mean, opening 2 controllers, again, I can come back from that really easily. And if you don't open a controller, boom, you have 3 Undynes that are alive. So yeah, I definitely wanted to make my Undyne live any point possible, just because you can get rid of any card virtually. Just because not only can you search, but you can pop back rows in, face ups, whatever you want. So and also obviously brings consistency to the deck. So Undyne, I definitely wanted to be live at all times. That's my main reason for a controller. That's also why I run 2 Regeki Break and an Alert. But yeah, okay, I'll continue down. So 3 Dragoons would be obvious, but for the water lineup in general, it seems like most people do 2 infantry, 2 marksmen, and 3 dragoons. But Megalo is also one of the better cards in this deck, obviously. And I always want to discard a marksman, an infantry, or a dragoon with Megalo, like at least, because if I don't drop one of those, then Megalo becomes an auto -1, regardless of what your opponent does. So I want to make it a 1-for-1, 2-for-2, no matter what. So I definitely want to have one of those in my hand. Also for the purposes of Abyssphere and Abyss Spike, obviously. So I felt like 3 infantry was too much, but I'm not sure about that choice anymore. But I definitely don't want to max out all of them.
If you would go back, would you change these ratios?
Well, I did play against Anti-Meta twice, and 3 marksmen definitely helped because Abyssphere in the end phase really hurt that deck. If you go Abyssphere into Lindy into Abyss Pike, discard marksman, add Undyne, that really hurts the deck, especially if they set only 1 back row. So, but in terms of 3 infantry, I always go back and forth on it. I guess it always depends on the tournament because, like, disturbing your opponent's play midway definitely helps with the Abyssphere. I mean, even if Pike's effect is negated, you can still discard. So, I mean, you can, like, pop theirs in Mighty if you don't have a break or torrential already. So, I'm back on that, but I feel like 3 marks definitely is needed, especially when I sign the 2 divas, game 2 and 3, also for the search of Abyss Pike. So, I think this is fun.
Okay. Before I'm gonna move to your side deck in a second, but I just want to take Oh, you know what? I also noticed you run duality.
All of this, I'm not going to explain the 3 Undines or anything, so I'll make it
No.
brief. But
Okay.
so for the 1 Diva, I feel like Diva is one. I know this is controversial to say, but I feel like Diva is one of the biggest misfits of the deck, just because I feel like people run it as an excuse to summon because marksman and infantry are searchable. But if you really think about it, there are so many other normal summons you can make in the deck, especially Undine and Abyss Pike, that summoning Diva really isn't necessary most of the time, especially because I don't even run Mind Control. I feel like Diva isn't one of the best ways to plus. I can't think of any other reasoning I have right now, but if I have an Undine or a Diva in my hand and it's turn 1, obviously I'm going to summon the Undine. But, I mean, drawing multiple Divas doesn't seem like it helps as much. It's always best to search with Dragoons and just have it as a 1-of.
Okay. I mean, I'll just
explanation earlier, but I just can't remember it. But
just want to drop in with, I mean, a lot of people do like it for the reason. I mean, well, aside from the reason that it by itself can answer cards like Thunder King,
right.
and there are a lot of combos with infantry, and you can set up for a DeLorean and bounce your Abyss Sphere and stuff like that. Things that maybe wouldn't be available to you if you only run one.
Right.
And I mean, over the course of this tournament, did you miss having those kind of combo plays?
I remember one specific round. I can't remember which, but I also want to go back to the Thunder King thing later because that's crucial. But there was one point in the tournament where I really needed to search Diva with Dragoons. But since I opened with the Diva, I couldn't do that because I think my opponent had a Thunder King or something like that and had a lot of searching cards in my hand. But other than that, I really haven't missed the Diva. I have a lot of outs to Thunder King in this deck. But I want to talk about the Thunder King thing because it's really crucial. I never realized how good Thunder King is against the deck. Like, it really stops everything. When I first made the deck, I thought I can still pitch stuff for a cost against Thunder King, like Undine and Abyss Pike, but then, I mean, I was being stupid, and obviously you can't do that because you have to be able to resolve the effect, and you can't do that. So, I think I went into a tournament forgetting about that fact. So I played 2 Duality, I played 3 Undine, I only played 1 Diva. It didn't tend to hurt that much in the end just because I only had to worry about Thunder King game 2 and 3. So that's when I subbed in triple Diva and a Breaker. So it wasn't as much of a big deal as I thought, but like thinking in hindsight, Thunder King is really a beast against this deck. So that was definitely not something I was thinking about.
Okay, and just let's wrap up the main deck with why you felt the need to main deck a Typhoon. Well, I see a lot of people don't, and why you picked Regeki Break over, say, Solemn Warning or Phoenix Windblast or whatever else.
Okay. I also feel like I need to explain pod duality.
True story. I keep skipping over that. My bad. Keep going.
It's fine. Okay, so one MST. I only put in one MST because this deck does not have that much space, and one of my biggest nightmares is that I play against some kind of I definitely play. I can't. Round 2, I played against some machine deck, and as far as I can remember, I think it only main decked 2 or 3 traps, and I just always hate drawing MST, and my opponent doesn't even run a single trap, especially Chaos Dragon era, even though that's clearly not the case anymore. But it was mainly just because the space is so tight. Like, there are so many cards I want to main deck. I want to main deck Mind Control. I want to main deck Tragody. I want to main deck Maxi. I just can't fit everything in. And I always need MST for the one like Macrocosmos that Rescue Rabbit plays. That I can hope into duality into. So the MST, I was playing it without MST at first, but I just need it for the mirror match, obviously, as well.
Okay.
For 2 pod duality, people say how broken this deck is, but in reality, like I said earlier, you can really open really Freddy like a lot of times, and even if you don't open Freddy, opening Undine pod duality is really strong. I've done Undine add controller, and then plot into a lure, and then I drew like Abyss Spear and Raigeki Break, and I won like 2 turns later. Pod Duality is really great, both when you have a great opening and a bad opening, because all you have to do is summon an Undyne, set yourself up, and then draw good cards. Obviously, it gets destroyed by Thunder King, and that's one thing I didn't keep in mind, so I might cut it down to 1 Pod Duality, but I still really like the Pod card.
Okay.
So I go to Raigeki Break now, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that. Okay, so in this format, I really want flexibility when it comes to activating trap cards. And that's the reason why I picked it over Mirror Force, because people like doing 2 turns with 2 Mirror Force, 3 Abyss Sphere. The reason I didn't pick Warning is because the 2,000 life points actually really hurts a lot. Actually, out of my last 2 feature matches, I've gone to 100 life points twice, and you definitely get beat up a lot if you don't draw a good hand, and Warning definitely does not help if you top that after getting like nailed down like that, and that's my reason against Warning. And so it's between this and the class. This Break is a lot more flexible than Wing Blast, because if there is a real threat that you just do not want to see ever again, you definitely don't want to put on top of their deck. If they have a BLS and they have multiple lights and darks in grave, you definitely do not want to put that on top of their deck. Wing Blast was definitely good back in Teledad, or back in the era when Stardust was really popular, but I mean, you don't see Stardust flying around unless there's like a Starlight Road going on or something, so Raigeki Break definitely has a lot more synergy in general. You also don't want to put their Dimensional Fissure or Macrocosmos on top of their deck, because they're just going to activate it again. So
that's very key.
Yeah. I feel like Wing Blast is only good against Zenmane, and Zenmane is not that hard to deal with this deck. I mean, you can just have Zenmanes just sit there until you have like a Megalo play you can go into. So that's the only use I really saw for Wing Blast, other than being cute and like putting back a card that you don't want them to draw again. But I mean, that's just stupid in my opinion. So that's my reasoning for that.
All right. So let's take a look at the side deck. You mentioned that you side in the 2 Divas and the Lost Book Breaker game 2 and 3.
Right. Okay. Oh, do you have the deck list on screen? Because I feel like that'd be easier for the viewers.
It is.
Okay. All right. So sorry. Okay. So definitely the 2 Divas and the Breaker. Breaker is such an amazing card. I actually talked to Owen. I don't remember his last name, but kudos to him, because he told me how much better of a card Air Orca is. And after I read that card, I'm actually quite convinced that Air Orca is a little bit better than this card, because you can draw it and it doesn't hurt as much. But I definitely really did like Breaker in this tournament, at least, because there was so many. I played Anti-Meta twice, and this card is just such a star against that deck. My opponent opened, I think I opened Abyss Pike, and I don't want to go in deep into it, but the significant part was I had an Abyss Pike, I drew into Diva. My opponent had Thunder King and a face-down Phoenix Chain. I summoned Diva, and he knew I had Breaker in my deck, so he had to Phoenix Chain the Diva, and then I synchroed with the Diva and the Abyss Pike into Dugalore, and that forced the Thunder King. And then I had like a +3 on him because of that. But that's probably not the best example, but Breaker is just really good because of the surprise factor. They usually don't warn the Diva if they have a really strong card on the field. But if you go into Breaker and then you break the warning and then you do some other play on top of that, the +1 off of some spell trap is just really strong. And I don't know what to explain, but this was good against anti-meta, and it's always an out to back row, so.
Okay.
I can tell I'm not really that much prepared for this interview, but I'm doing my best.
It's all right.
Yeah.
You want to skip the Trag Maxi, kind of obvious.
The Trag Maxi. I don't remember citing Trag that much except for anti-meta. I'm not sure what I would cite it against. I mean, it doesn't seem that great against windup, since they're probably going to call monsters anyway if they're going to go Shockmaster and go game. But yeah, Maxi was definitely key. I didn't play against the mirror match, but Maxi is really good against the mirror match, obviously. Mind Control. The only reason I cited it is because I didn't have space in the main deck. Very good card to take their Thunder King, summon controller Dragoons or something, and definitely a good card to get rid of any card on any monster they have. 2 MST obviously for macro stuff. Is there any other significant card I should explain?
I guess Compulse. When would you side in Compulse?
I actually really thought about that afterward, and I honestly couldn't think of a time I would. I mean, Windups is really good, but I feel like Gilligan is a lot better. I literally threw the side deck together in about 10 minutes, so I didn't put as much thought as I should into this. But I feel like Compulse is good against any deck that really utilizes the extra deck a lot. It's definitely better than Break in that way because you don't have to discard your controller. And when I side, I usually take out 1 controller, so I'm not as reliant on Undyne as much. So I definitely have to take out breaks. And Compulse is definitely better, especially against windups. Because I'm signing the 2 MSTs anyway, so I have an out to Defissure or Soul Drain. So Compulse is definitely better than Break against the windup matchup.
Okay. So, why don't you just tell everyone what you played, and if you have anything notable about any of those matches you want to share, anything you remember, feel free.
Okay. I mean, in between my matches, I took a 14-hour plane flight. So, I mean, there's definitely a lot of matches I don't remember, but I mean, I definitely had a heart attack when I found out I have to play Soros for round 1. I mean, I've heard how great of a guy he is at Yu-Gi-Oh! And obviously, and that he talked with Atlantean, so he knows my deck inside out. So it was a really tough match. He got me game 1. There was a lot of pressure, but I can't remember anything specific. But I mean, neither of us misplayed. It was a really great game. And there were obviously no hard feelings, no admins called or anything, so that was a really great game. And it's also surprising, I'm not sure if it's surprising though, but half of my matches were 1-2-1, and then the other half were 1-2-0. So this deck definitely had a lot of struggles. I definitely struggled a lot against the agent matchup, just because I think the guys main like 2 torrentials and 2 deeper than only or something like that. So my marksmen were essentially dead unless I got them with Diva. So that was definitely a hard matchup. I was really scared playing him in top 4 because he beat me 2-0 round 6. Yeah, agents were definitely scary. Windups I felt like were 50-50. It all came up to skill and luck. The 3 windups I played, I think I won 2-1 against 2 of them, and then I won 2 against the other. Obviously, there's no reason to name names or anything. So, yeah, I definitely did like playing against Majid because, he was playing anti-meta, because if you look at my extra deck, anti-meta is one of the easiest praise of this deck after siding, just because I have 2 Divas, Trags, Mind Control, double MST.
You won game 1, right?
Yes, I did.
All right.
I mean, game 2, he top BLS, and that just changed the entire game, so that was a whatever. But I did 2-0 him on camera, and that was just so. I mean, obviously, I was prepared well for that match too. But I mean, I'd never seen such a disgusting 2-0 ever in my life. I mean, I drew the perfect cards for every single turn. So I'm not gonna say that was because my good extra deck or my good deck or my skill or anything. I mean, that was just the DM randomizer just wanting me to win. So yeah, I took, but definitely made me look like a sack on camera. So.
Okay. Overall, do you think that Waters were the right deck for this tournament? If you can go back, would you run them again?
I actually haven't looked at the breakdown so far. I just know what you told me. But as far as I can tell, there were no rabbits, right?
No.
There was 1?
None. There were 13 wind-up decks, 4 Waters, 3 agents, 3... Sorry, hold up. There were 4 Waters, 3 agents, 3 worms, 2 Chaos Dragons, and their bunch were all 1-ofs.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. This deck was the deck. I would say the deck to run for this format. I wouldn't say necessarily my build, I would have to check how many Thunder Kings everybody made, but it didn't seem like that many made Thunder King even in windups. So I wasn't that worried. I was not worried about that much in game one. For game one for every game, so that shouldn't be an issue. But from what I hear, I pretty much I think I should have run 3 infantry, 2 marksmen, especially because how dead marksman is against chaos dragons and agents and just the overall flexibility of infantry, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I definitely hated how often windups can open really bad and how bad pod duality is if you open factory magician sharks. So I mean, you should have won anyways, but I just don't like pod duality when you do have a decent hand, and it's just hard to make it consistent. Now that you lost all your mighties and stuff, so yeah, I definitely like Mermails. I like the deck ever since it came out. Molten Glacier is also really good.
Do you keep it in game 2 and 3?
No, I mean there was an entire rant about it. I defeated one of the windup players who took the loss pretty bad just because I defeated him with Molten Glacier game 2 and 3, and he's like, "Oh, you're so bad because you don't side it out because I sided in D-Fissure and whatnot, and that'll make it dead and yada yada yada." And I'm not sure what exactly everybody does with Molten Glacier game 2 and 3, but I just think that unless you're playing against like anti-meta or something where they just set their entire hand, I feel like Molten Glacier is really good, even if they side in D-Fissure, because I mean, I'm citing out my salvages and my Pot of Avarice anyways. Might as well have a 1-of card that I can search in case they don't draw their D-Fissure. So, I mean, it's always possible to get one wish out turn 1 if you have a good enough hand. So, I don't know what their beef is with game 2 and 3 Molten Glacier, but I think it's perfectly fine. I've gone out plenty of times game 2 and 3.
Okay. All right then. So we've covered your general tournament experience. We've covered your deck profile. Is there anything specifically that you want to say? You have free roam right now. Say anything you want to anyone on YouTube, if there is anything you want to say.
Well, I definitely want to thank you, Chris, because I'm on Duelist Crown, some website for Yu-Gi-Oh, like a better version of Pojo, I guess. But that's where I found out that you're hosting this, and I mean, you've just been an overall great guy to talk to for like I've been overseas, so it's been hard coordinating with people and getting my matches started. And if someone just like doesn't come online, you would help me get them, and then you would just like wake up at 2 in the morning just to get a feature match, yada yada. And I mean, considering it's the first tournament that you've hosted, I think you did a great job, and I think it was a great innovative idea to do cash tournaments online because, I mean, everyone's asking for cash tournaments around here and no one's doing it. So might as well just do it so that anybody in the world can participate. So definitely thought it was a great innovative idea, and I hope you expand it a lot more.
I look forward to it.
Yeah. But yeah, I've had a great tournament experience. I mean, there's only one person I really rather have not played, but everybody else was just great. It wasn't too hard coordinated matches and everything, so yeah.
All right then. All right, well then I look forward to seeing you in the next YGOverdose online tournament, and I wish you good luck in future tournaments like it.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, take care, man.